ends the game 2 minutes after that, and it's really incredible how quickly this team's able to execute as we get into Champion Select for what could be the final time for Detonation Focus Me at Worlds 2018. As we go into the bans, they quickly respect the Akali from Scout last time. They will not play against that one again. And they'll then target ban Meiko with Alistar and Leona being banned away across the board. EDG take out Urgot, Aatrox, and Tahm Kench.
Looks like a Rakan first pick coming out from Detonation Focus Me. I saw the Leona ban and I was like, all right, that only means one thing.
It's very indicative.
Yeah, they have a bot lane in mind. So Edward Gaming, they may be looking to go for the Kai'Sa themselves. They could also go for the potential Nautilus. Braum is an answer as well to this bot lane. But based on Meiko's Shen pool, I feel like he can play almost anything. In fact, they may just steal away the Lovers Duo and say, you know what, you can have Kai'Sa. We're fine with that. We're more than happy to take this champion away from you and see what else Detonation Focus Me have got.
This is going to be one of them bad breakups, Vedius. We'll see how that plays out in bottom lane as the Gragas locked in again for the side of EDG. They've already shown they can flex it around, so we'll see where it ends up going this time around. Detonation Focus Me now. 2 more picks to go before the next round of the bans comes in. Hovering over Yasuo, but that's one of those picks that I'm not going to get baited by because usually people switch away from it. There we go. That's a lot more in line with what I was expecting. Steal on the Nocturne. We already talked about how it is his most played champion, and it looks like they're going to add yet another play on that one here.
So the fact that EDG have blind picked the Gragas all 3 games just goes to show how much flexibility it offers. You already talked about how it could be played up towards the top lane. They can put it in the jungle. They can play it in support. It kind of has flexibility all across the board, and it's a very safe blind pick for EDG as all of the members seem more than capable of playing it. And you never really know where it's going to go. So I do like this pick coming out from Edward Gaming. Interesting if Detonation Focus Me choose to go for this because Tristana, not that lane dominant, considered not the greatest pairing up with the Rakan considering how strong an engage tool he is. But maybe they'll look to just primarily use him as a setup for the Nocturne follow-up around the level 6 mark, where we could see Detonation Focus Me just hard invest in the bot side of the map.
Detonation Focus Me wanting to make sure they get that AD carry before the second part of the bans come in and it gets potentially targeted even further. Edward Gaming, though, lock in the Syndra, making sure that they don't get that banned away from them. They're going to have Scout on one of those powerful one-shot champions yet again.
And it's cute. It's interesting how often EDG will lock in their mid laner in the first half of the draft. They'll either do it here so that they can look to ban away some of the counter picks to Syndra, or they'll just try and get Scout on something that's considered strong in the current meta, like the Akali. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see things like an Aurelia ban. We may even see the Ziggs ban, because one of the obnoxious matchups for Syndra is just those wave clear mids, because her mana cost can be pretty high at early levels, and she doesn't have the greatest wave clear herself. So they may look to take that away from Ceros. Heimerdinger is not the best matchup because, funnily enough, you can use his turrets against him.
Yeah, you just throw the turrets at him. It's like, here, you threw this on the ground. I think you want it back. Have it. We'll see how they decide to go about this second part of the draft, though, as the Kindred will be banned away by Detonation Focus Me. Once again saying, we don't think that Gragas is a jungle Gragas. Ziggs banned out by Edward Gaming. Once again, my man Vedius calling the shots, saying, nope, this is what they're going to do. Psychic palm readings available now, only $5. 1-800-VEDIUS.
Well, if Detonation Focus Me are continuing with the jungle bans, they may go for a Trundle ban here, but Skarner could be the other one that I think is a little more realistic. Oh, okay.
Oh.
I wasn't expecting that. Definitely, I think, a ban over towards Haro. It is his most played jungler. I perhaps should have guessed that one. That would have been the easiest guess, if I'm being honest. All right, let's see what direction they go now in the second half of the draft.
Kindred, his second most played jungler as well. So really looking at Haro there as the Ornn will be locked in very quickly there for EDG, saying Ray's going to be on this one, put him on the tank, put him on some engage potential. And honestly, with the way Detonation Focus Me seems to have targeted him more than pretty much anyone else, put him on something that even if it falls behind, you can always blow the horn and have a good time.
Yep. When in doubt, call the Ornn, for he will surely blow the horn, and it guarantees an engaged startup. Already, Edward Gaming have got themselves pretty solid lanes in terms of the early game. Xayah, Syndra, Ornn all hold their own very nicely. Evi actually going to be bringing out the Shen, considered a pretty strong duelist at early levels, and pairs up very nicely with the Nocturne as well. Remember how I said I wanted to see a lane count? Level 6, Nocturne, Shen, Rakan. Bot lane is a prime place excuse me, to set up that tent and invest towards the bot side of the map.
Detonation Focus Me saying, I don't care that Syndra can throw them back at us. We're picking Heimerdinger for the 3rd time. I really like the fact that they have Shen, though, not just for the fact that it pairs so well with the Nocturne in terms of what they can both do separately, but what they can do literally together. You strap the Shen ultimate to Nocturne, have him fly in, Shen arrives at the exact same time, and it's just a double Nocturne ult, but the other guy's not a spooky ghost.
The way you described that was like Shen just holds on to his back.
Yeah,
they
you
glide
just hold on
together.
to his back and they fly in together, and all of a sudden it's like, what's up?
What's up?
Speaking of what's up, Haro's gonna be on Lee Sin.
Yes,
That's
he
what's up.
is.
That's the playmaking champion right there.
His Lee Sin was phenomenal in the gauntlet. I saw him land so many amazing kicks onto the AD carry that it was beautiful to watch. So game 3, Haro going on a big playmaking jungler. The expectations were that the Gragas would be going into the support role from the side of DFM. The question is, how will they handle this Lee Sin? Because Lee Sin, pretty strong against Nocturne in the early levels. If he misses those skill shots, then maybe you can stand a chance as the Nocturne, but in terms of the 2v2, Lee Sin almost always has the advantage.
And one thing that always makes me worry a bit when I see Lee Sin locked in, I'm like, so my general rule for Lee Sin, Vedius, is if he hits level 6 and his score is 0-0-0, he goofed up. I am not happy with that performance. But considering this is EDG,
that's high standards.
And specifically EDG with Haro, I don't think I'm worried about that this game.
Well,
the way this team's been playing,
All right, level 6, that's the benchmark. If he has not...
No, level 7, I'm sorry.
Level 7, all right.
You give him the opportunity to use
Okay.
Level 7.
All right.
If he hits level 7 and he's 0-0-0, he goofed.
You're listening, Haro. The precedent has been set. Level 7 from Captain Flowers. As we're going to jump into game 3, Detonation Focus Me, they need to find this win. Captain, they want to stand a chance of coming back.
They've got to get it here or they're going home. This team has already done better than any previous representative from Japan. Looking back at the past couple of years, it was Rampage in 2017 MSI, 1-5 in groups, did not progress. Rampage at 2017 Worlds, 0-4 in groups, did not progress. Pentagram at 2018 MSI, 1-5 in groups, did not progress. The fact that Detonation Focus Me has made it to the knockout phase has already done so much to be proud of for this region, and they want to try to at least get this one win here against EDG in the knockouts to make it work. There's those records that I just read off on your screen right now. The LJL having their best international performance so far here at Worlds 28.
And it's such an incredible story, too, because for Detonation Focus Me, they're a team that was so often in the final of the LJL, but they were known as chokers. They were known as a team that, while considered often the best in Japan, could never quite represent the region. And this time, their first representation on an international stage, and they make it out of the group stages. They take Cloud9 to an extremely close game and nearly find themselves a win. And even though they're going up against an extremely tough opponent in EDG, they've demonstrated what they're capable of on the international stage, and you can only imagine that they still have some left to show here in this 3rd game against EDG.
But of course, one of the concerns that you have, even when they get out of groups, is when their reputation is, yes, they do much better in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. Well, how are they going to do when we switch from the best-of-1 format over to the best-of-5 format? Their last best-of-5 was a 3-1 win in the finals of the LJL over Unsold Stuff Gaming. They want to try to at least get a 1 win here on this one, but bottom side, nothing too crazy happening just yet as Haro moves into the enemy jungle, only to find some wolves. No enemy jungler. Was looking to grab some sort of a fight against Steel, but won't get anything just yet.
Now, while we were talking about the narrative of the Detonation Focus Me, you may have noticed on screen that EDG sent 3 members to the mid lane to clear out the turrets from Ceros. The main reason for this is because if a Heimerdinger is able to get all 3 turrets out, you have a lot of strong pushing power very early on. They didn't want that to happen when you're playing this Syndra, so by clearing that out, it made the laning phase a lot easier for Scout, and now you can see that he's able to really manage this minion wave and keep it in the middle of the map and generate some pressure to allow Haro to go for these invades and look to see if he can find Steel in the enemy jungle.
Speaking of pressure, you can see Ray's just doing a good job keeping the pressure on here in the top side, finding a good trade there against Evi, and We talked in game number 1 about how Evi was one of the big performers for Detonation Focus Me during the group stage for this team, and honestly, he hasn't been able to find that opportunity so far in this best of 5. Ray's been having a very solid performance of his own as well to help shut that down, as Meiko and iBoy are setting up shop in familiar territory, Vedius, the enemy turret.
So here's the jungler hanging around.
2-man knockup coming in from Vivid, but honestly, the bottom lane from Detonation so low on health, they're still not wanting to fully commit to this 3v2 just yet. iBoy is low on mana.
Ooh, but this could be
Meiko's
good.
Still very far forward, though. If Steel comes down here, you can make a play on this. See if they can find it. Steel coming in from behind. We're going to go for that shadow path. Finds its way onto Meiko. Going to be taking him very low. Knocks him up into the air. CC comes down. And for the first time this series, first blood over to DFM. iBoy gets one in return. And now Haro's made his way down into the fight here as well. Looking to grab a couple more auto attacks down onto Steel. Resonating strike finds Yutapon. And this will likely be blood all over the place. It's 3 for 2 overall for EDG. But man, what a fight early on. That's not a 0-0-0 Lee Sin.
Haro meets your win conditions for Lee Sin, Captain Flowers. He finds himself 2 kills in the early game, and he started stacking up those Dark Harvest stacks as well. But Detonation Focus Me, you said it. They found their first blood of the series. And what a way to do it as well. iBoy and Meiko finally punished for their over-aggression. Now they have no summoner spells in the bot side of the map. Let's see Steel set up shop. We already talked about it. The Nocturne ultimate, the Shen ultimate. Everything is in position to allow Detonation Focus Me to hard camp this lane. But let's have a look back at this replay now. You can see Meiko, he used all his abilities onto Vivid, and that's when Steel comes in for the collapse. He's in front of Meiko, which means that even if he flashes, the tether still stays attached, which means that the fear is guaranteed. A good flash from iBoy to lock up Vivid and at least find a return kill, and they know that with the arrival of Haro, even though he's a level down against Steel, he's able to turn around with the health advantage, the kill, and this is lethal tempo Nocturne. He gets the extra damage from his Q, the bonus AD, the passive as well does bonus damage, and they're able to find 2 kills for 3.
And that was honestly really good decision-making there from Steel to make sure he went in and got that second kill. EDG up in gold a little bit right now, but considering they got the overall edge in that fight, that's understandable. But both of these junglers on the board early. That's what I want to see. Tiamat in the inventory for Haro. Going to be clearing those camps out faster than ever. iBoy finding some good damage down on the Yutapon here bottom side. Vivid eating a lot from Meiko on the back end of the fight here as well. And with that one trade, that means again, Vedius, Yutapon and Vivid just have to sit on their back foot.
Ceros now taking a bit of damage. EDG doing what they do best. Flash it.
Oh, looks to make the play. The flash out.
Got him.
One more tickle. Do it. Scout's got the solo kill.
Scout does it once more. He is decimating his lane opponents regardless of who he goes up against. He's able to find these outplays. Now on the Syndra, he kills Ceros.
Ceros down on that trademark pick yet again. We talked about how good he was on this Heimerdinger, but it seems like EDG just has the pick all figured out. Haro walking forward now, gonna eat a lot of damage there from Steel. That's not a fight you're gonna win, man!
Him!
Solo kill!
Steel now 2-1-1 on the Nocturne. It was he who found the Lee Sin in the jungle, and if Nocturne gets that first hit, he's able to proc the lethal tempo, and he was able to find out the kill. Haro, he did, I'm not sure if he had a control ward in his inventory or not. I'm gonna assume he didn't, because he didn't jump out to safety. And if he had, he would have gone away with his life, but Steel threw down the smite. He has the red buff tick over, and now he's got the completed jungle item. DFM, even though they've lost a couple kills across the board, there's still a very clear win condition, Captain Flowers. We just need to see Steel use the advantage he's now built up for himself.
There's also a very clear 1 kill per minute so far in this game.
Here we go, level 6, level 6. This is the bot lane play we were talking about.
Steel wants to make this one happen. Xayah ult not available yet, still only level 5 for iBoy. Meiko, the same thing being said for him. Steel's hanging out back here, doesn't want to accidentally walk over a ward by going too far forward. Vivid looking for the opportunity to go in here. Steel's going to decide to start things off on his own. Can they find the CC? They've got iBoy knocked up into the air. Steel grabs the first kill, and they'll walk out with that success.
Beautiful stuff from DetonatioN Focus Me. Exactly what we wanted to see. You get an extra kill onto your Nocturne. Great use of the ultimate. The Shen ulti is still available as well, and the fact that you're putting iBoy behind, getting Yutapon into a position where he can be a big carry is great for DetonatioN Focus Me as the game progresses.
Haro trying to make something happen here in the top side. Almost seems like they've switched up game plans, where it's now EDG trying to make plays top after DetonatioN Focus Me already finds their success bottom side, and now they're knocking down this tier 1 turret. Something Trist is adept at, she'll get even better at as the game goes on, but getting first turret money in your pockets 8 minutes into the game is fantastic for this team, who now have themselves a gold lead.
Great to see from DetonatioN Focus Me. Game 3, they're not down and out. After the first 2 games where EDG just stomped and controlled DFM in the early game, they are now bouncing back, and it's off the back of their jungler Steel, the man that the team often relied on during their regular season to get them their early game leads. Is now 3-1-1 against EDG, and has everything that he needs to help them get through this part of the game. Ulti is coming back up soon. We need to see him keep the pressure up. He could go mid, there's no flash there, or he could continue his pressure down bot, where both iBoy and Meiko have got their summoners back.
Absolutely just needs to stay on the map. Keep this gold close. Here's a gold graph showing the difference between DetonatioN Focus Me and Cloud9 on day 3 of the play-in group, but now Ceros going to be in some trouble. Haro's got the damage on that one. They'll pick him up, and that is Edward Gaming getting themselves kill number 5.
DetonatioN Focus Me. They also have to respect that EDG can be proactive on the map themselves, and the long-range ulti from Ray was great setup when Ceros did not have his flash available. The chain CC from Scout and Haro together was enough to find themselves a kill onto the mid laner, and Ceros, he hasn't had a great series. A lot of attention has been thrown towards him.
Yes.
And at 0-2-0 right now, EDG find the kill advantage once more.
I mean, a lot of it, too, I think, has to do with the nature of the pick. Heimerdinger is one of those champions that doesn't have any inbuilt escape mechanisms, naturally pushes the lane, naturally encourages you to want to gank him, and EDG says much obliged.
And in most instances, it's really difficult because whenever you try to get close, the turrets can often swing a gank back in your favor, but when an Ornn ults from half the map away ends up hitting you in the face, like, what can he do, right? Like, so it's a very unfortunate situation for Ceros to be in. His flash is now back up, and the laning phase should get just a little bit easier for him.
Still within 1,000 gold here for DetonatioN Focus Me. They do drop that first Ocean Drake, but that's not too big of a deal just yet. You are seeing the lanes get flipped upside down now as the bottom lanes head topside and vice versa. Evi down 20 CS compared to Ray, who is going for the Iceborne Gauntlet build this time around on the Ornn, supplying a little bit of extra damage and trading potential against his opponent. Ceros gonna just kind of have those turrets deleted instantly now versus the Syndra, as the Rift Herald will be started up by DetonatioN Focus Me.
This will be spotted out though by EDG, and with the Syndra and Lee Sin, you would expect EDG to be the stronger at this point into the game. And you can already see them moving up. Ornn has rotated up as well. Evi still has his ulti, so he could join the fight, but I don't know if DFM want to go for this.
Oh, I think we're going to have a fight for it, Vedius. Ceros is coming in from the side, looking to find the damage. Steel goes into the fight already, looking to make something happen. It's a multi-man charm coming in through the quickness, but Vivid's already down. Steel having to get himself away on this one. Flash out from Ceros as well. Ray goes over the wall, still looking to chase after, find that CC. As Evi's going to be looking to block people off, finding the taunt, and Haro's taken out by Yutapon. Evi still looking to get himself away from this one. iBoy trying to provide some chase in that damage. But Meiko will not be able to bring the CC to keep them close by.
Ooh, it looked like iBoy was going to drop right at the beginning of the fight, but both of his summoner spells had come off of cooldown, and he flashes to safety. EDG then start to turn that fight so heavily in their favor. And we talked about the strength at this point in the game, and you could see EDG, with the champions that they have, with the amount of damage that they had at their disposal, were just in a better position to win out on that fight. Fortunately for DFM, it only ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of EDG, but DFM, they need to slow things down a little bit. They need to wait until they hit those crucial power spikes before they look for another fight like that.
They seem so ready to skirmish, Vedius. Let's take another look at this crazy fight.
So you can see the multi-man stun coming out from Ceros means that he hasn't been able to get any turrets down just yet. At the last second, even though the fear lasts onto iBoy, he gets his ulti off and then gets to safety. And this is when EDG start the chase. Scout, he'd already used his ultimate, so he can't really get the remaining damage down. And then just in the last second, I believe it was Scout that secured the kill onto Ceros, but he very nearly was able to get the kill down onto Scout. That could have swung the fight in DFM's favor, so it was close. You can see that if they'd had a couple more items under their belt, maybe things would have gone a bit better for them.
A lot of damage done in that last fight, specifically from Heimerdinger, Tristana, Syndra, and Ornn. I talked about Iceborne Gauntlet Ornn having some more damage. Well, he did the second most damage on his team in that one. Remember that early on in League of Legends, ladies and gentlemen, the base damages on tanks are pretty darn high.
Yep.
They can do a lot of damage if you line up in those AoE cones and ram patterns and everything else that Ornn's able to cause chaos in. It's now up to Detonation Focus Me to just continue hanging tight here. Still not down that far. We're approaching that 15-minute mark that we use as the marker for when we're out of EDG territory. Yutapon's hanging out in the brush here in the top side. Does have buddies hanging out in that river here too. Steel ready with the Nocturne, all if they decide to use it, but iBoy and Meiko are going to get themselves out of here right back into their own jungle, sweeping out some vision, and honestly, that's what I'm going to be looking at a lot, Vedius, is vision as we progress further into the mid-game. Who can set up the picks, because there's so much potential on both comps.
You're quite right. Nocturne really good at killing champions in the side lane. Now Ceros.
Oh, Ceros knocked back into EDG, and Meiko knows how to make those Gragas plays happen.
He thought that with 2 control wards in the river, he would be safe to take that pathing. He did not expect Meiko to just show up, go for the flash body slam into the knockup, and then 4 members of EDG warmly embracing Ceros as he made his way into the EDG members. Now, EDG have priority over the mid lane. They don't have the Rift Herald, but without any wave clear on DFM, there should be a tower going to EDG.
No Heimerdinger turrets to kill. Might as well kill real turrets instead. EDG takes themselves their second objective from their opponents this game, along with that neutral Drake they secured earlier. They go up to a 2,000 gold lead as Evi will continue split pushing in the bottom side. He'll be stopped by Ray now. Steel just trying to maintain control over this river area, clearing out some control wards, but when EDG is hanging out and being grouped up like this, always somebody with somebody else, it's way harder for Steel to make the plays happen, as now they might be able to make this one go through onto Scout, who is going to be caught out, taken down very low. Shutdown credit over to DFM, goes over to Vivid on that one. Evi's still on the front lines here. Haro lands the Sonic Wave, but I don't think you want to resonate that strike anytime soon.
Now, Evi's ult was used in that pick, and arguably you didn't need it, given that you had 4 members primed and ready to get the collapse done onto Scout, but regardless,
better safe than sorry.
DFM, exactly. They play it safe, they find themselves the kill, now they're the ones sieging onto this mid-tier 1.
It's not about the kills, it's about what the kills mean. DFM want this one to mean a tier 1 turret, but EDG do a good job shutting that down.
And look at top and bot lane. Because DFM invested so many resources into mid, EDG is able to push out both waves, and all this farm is now going to be lost to these turrets because DFM were not in a position to take advantage of it. And this is how these small leads start to build up bigger and bigger. Now, Scout, he was just trying to go towards the blue buff. He wanted to secure himself the objective that belongs to him. Cool thing about the tether is even if you fear them while they're in the Zhonya's, it will stay attached, so they will come out of the Zhonya's feared as well if you time it at the right time. And that did mean that Scout ended up CC long enough to allow the rest of DFM to find themselves the kill, but unfortunately no tower for them.
And like you said, not only did that pressure from the side lanes make it so all those minions got lost, but it also meant there was more overall map control for EDG. They were able to take the Rift Herald like you just saw. They're still feeling very comfortable here in this game, 2,000 gold ahead. 1 turret up, 1 Drake up. Next Drake is alive. It is only Cloud Drake #1, so not really anything you're going to run in and have to suicide over if you would lose it. So Detonation Focus Me, likely not too concerned about that one overall. Evi still set up there in the bottom lane. Has teleport, but no ultimate on the Shen. Teleport also up for Ray, so if the fight breaks out, expect it to be everyone at the same time as Haro can clear this Drake out himself and then continue with the rest of EDG. You can see Meiko moving into enemy territory now, feeling brave enough with the lead EDG has to set up vision and start making things scarier for Detonation Focus Me.
We've got to remember though, 17.5 minutes in, the game is still very close. Only 2,000 gold separates the two teams, and if DFM can secure themselves another tower, that'll drop to about 1,000. DFM still have the late game win condition as well. They have a Tristana, they have a Heimerdinger. So there's still plenty of opportunities for DFM to reclaim control over the map, and considering how dominant EDG have been throughout this series, the fact that DFM have been able to hold their own in this third and crucial game is very important to see.
Game number 1 was just an absolute avalanche for EDG. Game number 2, even though it was faster overall, it still seemed like DFM had figured things out a little bit better in the early game. And now game number 3 seems like further progress. Still, the question is it too little, too late?
Yes, that
will you still be able to recover this series? And right now, Syndra just yoinks that blue buff away. That's such an aggravating thing to deal with as a jungler, but EDG are going to say, that's the least of your worries, boys. Steals in some trouble as the shutdown credit goes over to Haro. Ceros trying to get himself away now as the damage explodes Pivot as well. They're trying to find anything in return. They'll grab the kill on the scalp, but they'll lose their top laner in the process. DFM lose that fight. 1 for 3. EDG coming out on top yet again. Meiko's taken down by Yutapon, making it 2 for 3 overall. But can he get away from Ray? He'll chase after him with the CC. So many slows, so many stuns, so much damage, so long Yutapon.
And EDG find themselves 4 kills onto DFM. They have the Rift Herald in their inventory as well, and will look to break down the tier 2 turret in mid. EDG, they had 4 members, or in fact 5 members, all grouped up around that blue buff. DFM thought they could challenge, they made a crucial mistake, and now EDG has snowballed this into a 5,000 gold lead.
Knock, who's there? It's Shelly, but they're going to close the door in time to prevent her from taking down that tier 2 turret. Let's take another look at how it all started.
And you can see that DFM, they feel that with this vision, they can set this one up. Steel tries to use the spell shield, but it gets broken by the Gragas. A good Gragas ulti combined with the kick knocks 2 members of DFM back into the waiting arms of EDG. And with a great ulti engage from Ray, EDG had everything that they needed to just collapse down onto DFM, find themselves 4 kills. And the 4th kill did come from Yutapon, who did his best to kind of clean up at the very end, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to escape from the CC from Ray and the damage from Haro.
That was like the Ornn dream. Everybody was just lined up along this nice, straight, road-like path that you can just send the ramp charging all the way down there. Well done by EDG. 4,000 gold lead now, 20 minutes into the game. Baron is alive. Remember the game time so far, 27 minutes, 22 minutes for EDG in these victories. Detonation Focus Me would love to make this one take a little bit longer, but honestly, you're 0-4 on your Heimerdinger, who once again hasn't been having a fantastic game for himself. An entire item behind Scout's Syndra. Luden's Echo, Hourglass, Sorcerer's Shoe versus just the Echo and the Shoe means that Ceros has a long way to go to catch up to his counterpart.
And while we saw Steel with a great early game, he was ganking a lot bot lane, we only saw him find that 1 pick onto Scout, and then nothing else outside of that. We didn't see him moving towards other side lanes. We didn't see them looking for more picks. And when EDG were able to slowly claim the vision control over the map, it was them who was dictating the pace. It was them lying in wait for DFM to overstep. And they have been the ones to find these fights, and now they're looking for another one.
Uh-oh, Evi's in some trouble. Gonna get away from the collapse. EDG bringing multiple people down here. Looks like Detonation Focus Me's top laner will live to see another day. But now pings onto the Baron pit from EDG. They're saying, wait a second. We left this vulnerable. Last time that was a problem. Could have been a problem. Ultimately ended up being a wonderful gift. This time around, they don't want to risk that yet again, as Ray will take down the bottom side tier 1. That is the final tier 1 turret taken down now on the side of Detonation Focus Me. Affords EDG even more control over the map. But the Nocturne ulti is going to be used. iBoy gets himself away with the Xayah ult and the flash, really being respectful here to make sure he doesn't get himself picked off. Not sure what the goal in the cast there was. Sometimes you just got to throw out the party cake.
He was looking for it. He was seeing if he could get any member of DFM who would slightly overstep, but now that's 2 big ultis gone for DFM. They still have the Rakan engaged, but it's going to be a lot harder for Steel to dive onto the back line. EDG will just use this opportunity to reclaim some control around the Baron buff. Get that push out on the middle lane. Clear out some of DFM's wards and maybe look for a pick. Ray has also joined the fray. There's a big minion wave up top side that needs to be cleared out.
Ray went back and shopped. He's got himself 40% CDR now with the Kindle Gem combined with the completed Iceborne Gauntlet and Spirit Visage. So all that CC will be able to be applied that much more frequently. Very scary right now here on this Ornn. Also worth pointing out, there is a stopwatch in the inventory of Evi. So when he goes in on this Shen to taunt people up, he can do so with a bit more safety and security than what he would otherwise be able to accomplish. Inventories of the AD carries looking pretty similar right now. Storm Razor plus Rapid Fire Cannon, as both these two will continue to scale up, become very scary as the game goes on. Still an 8-12 game overall. Still about a 4,000, almost 5,000 now gold lead for EDG as they move into the enemy jungle, scouting around, throwing down some wards, maintaining control. Thinking about maybe making something happen here in the mid lane. Vivid's about to face check some nastiness. Gets kicked back. He's in some serious danger here, and Haro will take him out.
And another quick pick goes in favor of EDG. The Drake is has just spawned, and they could look to secure that, but with the mid turret being so low, this should be another easy objective for EDG to secure. Ambitious if they want to keep pushing this, but they have a lot of their ultis available.
They've got ultis available. The big engage mechanism from their opponents in the Rakan ultimate is not available because he's still dead for another 10 seconds. EDG can just brute force down this inhibitor turret. Ray continues to go in, but Haro said, no, we're getting out of here. I'm not entertaining this at all. He's all the way back past the tier 2 rubble while Ray's charging forward. That seemed to be a little bit of miscommunication. It's not punish, but EDG needs to make sure they're on the same page here. This might be what we evidenced by a little bit of lack of clear love.
But we've seen the... I like the confidence from EDG to just group up and push down mid, just because they know that, hey, your Rakan is gone and we don't think your fight is 4v5. That kind of confidence is really good to see, just because very few teams will actually take that risk. They don't want to run the potential of, oh, they still have 4 members alive, they may look to collapse upon us, but they challenge DFM, they secured a tower, they get the Ocean Drake as well, and while they have lost some control around Baron, they've been able to push out bot. Ray will go back to base and spend some of his gold. More farm will be lost, as Evi has actually grouped up with his team in the event that a fight should happen in the nearby area.
It's a 7K gold lead now, Vedius. It's the same story that we were telling in game number 2, where things were looking better at the start, but then as soon as there's even a moment of weakness from DFM, EDG is able to capitalize and punish. And right now, this team is in a phenomenal position to close out this game and close out this series and punch their ticket to the main stage group phase of Worlds 2018. I got my years mixed up. Not the best thing to do, but sometimes the best thing to do is set up vision around Baron, which is exactly what EDG is doing right now. Nice steal away on the Gromp too, so casual, walking up, thanks for the leash. Steal that one away, as Detonation Focus Me is now tasked with trying to maintain enough control over the map to not allow your opponents to free Baron, while not taking enough risks to get yourselves caught out.
Now the bright side for DFM is they still have the Tristana win condition. Level 14, actually a level advantage over iBoy, nearly completed the Infinity Edge as well. Means that at 3 items, DFM's team fighting is not the worst. And I'm quietly optimistic looking at how Yutapon has been playing this game so far. One good engage, if they're able to find a quick pick onto either Scout or iBoy, maybe DFM can swing a fight in their favor, but obviously, it's still an uphill battle. That is a very healthy gold lead that EDG have for themselves. As you mentioned earlier, a whole item sits on top of Scout over his mid lane counterpart, and Ray is just so tanky as well, with 3 items completed as well. EDG are definitely still very strong at this point in the game, but I'm just looking at the potential. I'm looking at the maybes.
You've got to look at the maybes right now for Detonation Focus Me, because you can't look at a game and say, oh yeah, here's how you absolutely win the game right now from an 8K deficit at 26 minutes. That's just not something that regularly happens. But there are some of those opportunities. Remember, this is EDG. This is a team that has had issues with this in the past. Only a couple days ago, it was a lead very similar size to this that they threw against
And it wasn't Rakan.
It was a Rakan. This is EDG's weakness.
We just need him in the mid lane now, Flowers, and everything's together.
If they're in the mid lane and Rakan is in that leftmost bush, EDG's in some trouble.
That's it. That's the recipe for disaster for EDG.
But they're staying the hell away from that bush, and they're going right into the Baron pit instead. No vision over this for Detonation Focus Me. A blue ward being placed down. Do you decide to fight this now? It looks like EDG is going to turn it around instead on their own volition. Steel's taken very low, flashing himself away. Vivid looking to go in, find the team fight CC. Does manage to get it down onto a couple, still going to be taken down by Scout. Evi goes into the back line to find iBoy. That'll at least clean up some of the damage on the side of DFM, but EDG may yet be able to take him down. Ray's going to solo out Yutapon if he isn't careful, as Evi finally falls to Meiko, and Ray is going in and claps them right back into the spawn platform.
And EDG made the smart call there, not committing to the Baron, not running the risk of it getting stolen, immediately turning onto the jungler, finding a kill and finding the fight. They now have 4 members alive. Ray is just zoning away Ceros as EDG looks to secure the Baron.
EDG had quite a lot of tunnel vision there onto Ceros. 2 different people also pulled away to help Ray as Haro frantically pings Baron and says, no, I need help with this. But they will come back together. They'll secure the Baron. They'll secure the kill onto the enemy Heimerdinger. They'll secure themselves an absolutely massive 5-digit gold lead yet again. And it's looking like it's almost over here for Detonation Focus Me. This is nearly an insurmountable deficit.
DFM looked better in the later stages of that fight because I just had my eyes on Yutapon, and again, the decision-making was great here from EDG. They knew they were going to turn the moment they saw Steel, flash straight onto him, burst him out, but then look at Yutapon here. He just melts through the AD carry. He nearly kills him if it wasn't for that stopwatch, but then Ray was like, oh, you want to play? Okay, let's play. And then he just shows how much stronger he is than Yutapon with those 3 tanky items finished, just melting through the squishiness of the AD carry. The sticking power of this Ornn. Unbelievable.
Clap.
He really did bring the thunder as he found a kill onto Yutapon, and now EDG with the Baron buff are making their way towards the rest of DFM space.
EDG deciding bottom lane is the way to go with this one. Remember, they've already knocked down the inhibitor turret in mid lane, so if they can push up this wave bottom, shove this in, take bottom lane inhibitor, you just immediately walk it 2 feet to the north and take the mid lane inhibitor as well. Seems to be the plan as Meiko's on the front line there, looking for playmaking opportunity with the barrels. Plenty of minions lined up here, pouring damage at that turret already as Ray decides it's time to go in. Evi's already been deleted, and with your frontliner gone, there's not much of a chance to make a coherent fight happen. EDG are into the base. They've got the enemy Shen down. They're looking for inhibitor number 1. Haro goes in, looking to grab himself a kick. They've got some damage down, and Vivid's out of the picture. EDG are moments away from winning this game and taking this series. Nexus turret number 1 now under pressure. DFM trying to hold on at the very edge of the base in the fountain. They've lost their AD carry. They'll lose this game, and EDG are looking to end them here. Ceros finally falls. iBoy grabs the kill, but dies on the steps of the fountain itself. Minions putting the work into the remaining Nexus turrets. It's Steel against the world, but the world will win today. EDG will take this series 3-0 and advance to the main stage.
Edward Gaming, they looked very convincing in their first 2. The third one was a little bit more of a challenge. DFM made them work for it. But in the end, good decision-making, great team fighting, and Ray really stepping up. We saw iBoy in game 1, we saw Scout in game 2, and Ray in game 3 with his use of the Ornn ultimate, his pressure in a side lane, his team fight impact. Really impressive stuff from the top laner of EDG.
And while we celebrate the victory of EDG, I want to applaud the grit of Detonation Focus Me, getting the representation for Japan through the play-in group stage for the first time at one of these international events, getting themselves into a best-of-5 versus the team that a lot of people looked at as the single strongest team in play-ins, and adapting throughout the games, not enough to find a win, but enough to clearly see progress from game to game. This is a team that did their region proud at play-ins. They went further than they ever had before. And honestly, they can hold their heads high as they walk out.
And Detonation Focus Me are considered the strongest team in the LGL. They have been for a while. And you can only imagine that moving forward, they'll continue to grow, they'll continue to look strong, and perhaps at the next international event, they can just continue to progress further and further, because this team has a lot of potential. And going up against EDG is no easy task, because they are one of the strongest teams that we have at the World Championship. And in Game 3, they definitely had an admirable effort.
Detonation Focus Me put up a hell of a fight, but ultimately the might of EDG was too much for them to handle. To break down that game and the entire day of matches, let's pass it off to World's Cooldown.